Thank you very much, Patricia, for your very kind words of introduction, and thank you for inviting me to speak to you. And I'm sure you have heard several presentations about the Rotary Foundation, what it does. So what I'm presenting to you is not the grant model like Norm and the team does so well. I'm talking to you about the donations and how to donate and the recognitions for it. And I hope existing members, longer members who are already donors will get something new out of it or get a refresher. And hopefully it is interesting for all of the newer members. This is a sentence that we should remember, that the Rotary Foundation transforms your gifts into service projects that change lives both close to home and around the world. Now, how can you contribute? So I divided my presentation into two sections. Part one is the ways to contribute as individuals or as a club. And then the second part is about the recognitions. That's when you will hear about what Paul Harris Society, Paul Harris Fellow, and so on means for both individuals and then for the clubs. This is very similar to some of the presentations you've heard. There's one foundation, but there are three funds essentially. There's the annual fund, the endowment fund, and the Polio Plus fund. And I'm not going to go too much into those. Just know that these three funds exist. As to ways to give as individuals, there's many ways to donate. You can contribute to any of the three funds, and you can do that, well, it's directly on the website, or you can send checks or wire transfers using contribution form. There is also Rotary Direct and recurring giving, and I saw that 10 of your club members are enrolled in Rotary Direct. You can sign up on the RI website, and you can decide the frequency and amount of your donations to the Rotary Foundations. And also you can decide whether or not it goes to the annual fund, Polio Plus, or any of the areas of focus. That makes it very easy to just say, well, once a year I want to give amount X, or I want to give 3 times a year, $50, let's just say. So that's the Rotary Direct. You can also gift other items or values to the foundation. You can gift stocks, mutual funds, or bonds, and you can donate as a tribute or a memorial gift. Then there's also fundraising on Raise for Rotary, which I will mention in a little bit, and fundraising on Canada Gives. This is not directly to Rotary, but you can then, whatever funds you raise, you can contribute to the foundation. And there's other ways to raise funds via Facebook or other fundraising platforms. Now, this is all what I just mentioned, kind of cash donations, but there's also planned giving or endowments. You can make a provision in your will that however much you decide after your passing will go to the foundation. You can also give life income gifts, or you can make the Rotary Foundation a beneficiary of life insurance. Just know that for the endowment fund, the principal is never spent. Only the spendable earnings are used. So once you give to the endowment fund, you will have a legacy, and that gift keeps on giving. Another way now is also that you can give to the disaster response fund. And contributions to the disaster response fund also will count towards your every Rotarian every year, your Paul Harris Fellow and Paul Harris Society status. As I mentioned, there's something relatively new. It's called Raise for Rotary. And this is a quick shot on how it works. So you can do that on your phone or a computer. You can choose your occasion as an individual or as a club. You can collect funds from instead of a birthday gift. If you have a special event, you can donate funds for that. Then as a second step, you choose what you support. If it's to end polio, to fight disease, or provide clean water, you can choose that. And once you have created this fundraiser, you start it and you can share it with your friends, your family, and the community. And that's how Raise for Rotary works. And it's at raise.rotary.org. I encourage you to check it out. There are some interesting applications there. Again, the way to repeat the ways to give, you can automate your giving through Rotary Direct. You can donate online on the Rotary website. You can send a check or you can give it to your foundation chair. They will then send it on, or you can mail it. And what's really important for many of us, you can think about an endowment to leave a permanent legacy. Now, as clubs, again, you have similar ways to give. You can make the contributions to the annual fund, Polio Plus fund, and disaster response fund. When you make a contribution as a club, those contributions will count towards the sustainable club recognition. Again, you can make contributions as memorials or tribute gifts. So when, I'm sure you're familiar with that, when someone, a former member may have passed, that you can make donations on their behalf. You can also make contributions for your club members, paid by the members. I'm not familiar with if it works like that in your club, but I know that some clubs, they include it in the member dues, and they actually, before a new member joins, they tell them the expectation that there is going to be, in addition to the club dues, to contribute to the Rotary Foundation. That's another way. Or then finally, you can make contributions in a club member's name. So for example, you can donate, let's just say $100 US per active member from a fundraising event. And this will cover the Every Rotarian Every Year and the sustainable membership. And just to give you some ideas, I have been to clubs where instead of a 50-50 draw, where the winners just collects the money, those winnings of the 50-50 draw are given to the Rotary Foundation in the winner's name, contributing to their recognition points and building towards Paul Harris recognition, and so on. And then, as I said before, that a club, you can designate a certain amount of the fundraising monies to be a donation in the member's name. So I know from my club, the Orangeville Club, we have in the past, after successful Rip Fests, donated $100 per each active member to the foundation as basically a thank you and recognition for the hard work that everybody puts in. And again, that covers then the club being a sustainable club and Every Rotarian Every Year. But in this case, the member does not get, sorry, I guess I moved. The member does not get the tax receipt. So this was quick way to show you how to donate. Now to the donor recognition part. You can have many of those recognitions, and we'll get into that. And on my Rotary, every individual can access the donor history. That includes your personal contribution history and your recognition summary. A sustaining member, let's start at the lower level. A sustaining member is a person who personally contributes $100 US or more to the annual fund. This counts towards Paul Harris recognition, major donor and club recognition banners. Note, and I found that out myself, that Polio Plus donations do not count toward the sustaining member recognition, as this is strictly for the annual fund donations. The first recognition here is the Paul Harris Fellow. And I notice your club has 47 Paul Harris Fellows currently, which is very commendable. That's when you have donated $1,000 or more to the foundation, or if someone has contributed on your behalf or given their foundation recognition points. Then, as many of you are familiar, there's the multiple Paul Harris Fellow. For every subsequent $1,000, you get a new pin with a little stone corresponding to the recognition amount. Then there's also Paul Harris Society, and I saw you have in your club currently 15 Paul Harris Society members. That is when an individual contributes $1,000 US per year to the annual fund, Polio Plus fund, or an approved global grant. And then you get that little banner on your pin. Then we're moving up. So the next step is major donor. There are several levels. It starts at $10,000 up to almost $250,000. You get then a different kind of pin plus a crystal that you see there in the middle with the peace doves. After you have reached $249,999, the next step is the Klumph Society. Again, there are different levels, and well, there are special privileges to that. You get invitations to events, you have special seating at the conventions, and so on. And if you choose, your portrait and your biography are exhibited in the Klumph Gallery in Evanston. And I put together a little graph here to show you how this works. I hope this makes sense. So first you get the Paul Harris Fellow, then you become the major donor, and then the Klumph Society. And that's essentially cash donations. Now, going back to the endowment, once you give $1,000 or more to the endowment fund, you become a benefactor. You get a you get a nice little recognition for that. Again, I don't want to kind of give you all the numbers. If you would like, I can send the presentation and for future reference. After you become a benefactor and you decide to put more into the endowment fund, you can then become a member of the Bequest Society. So if you decide to leave a gift of $10,000 or more in their will, and that can be individuals or couples, you then become a member of the Bequest Society. There are 7 levels for Bequest Society recognition to almost $1 million. And as an example, if you decide that you want to leave $25,000 to the endowment fund, you can get a personalized named endowment fund. If you reach the $250,000 and plus level, once you pass away, you will then be inducted posthumously in the Klumph Society. And whoever does that, I hope you don't get inducted into the Klumph Society this way for a long, long time. The Legacy Society, this is the newest recognition. Before, there were so many levels of Bequest Society that hardly didn't end. So they decided that anybody who donates in the future in their will $1 million or more will become a member of the Legacy Society. This was created in 2019, July 1st. And again, once the person passes away, they will become a member of the Klumph Society. And then this is just, again, and I put only 6 levels, but it should be actually 7. My apologies. The Rotary, the recognitions for the endowment fund. Now, for the club recognitions, I'm sure you are familiar with some of them. So the banner to the left is 100% foundation club giving, so that everybody in your club donates $25 US minimum to the club, an average of $100. Then every Rotarian every year is $100 per capita of giving of the active members as of July 1st. And when everybody does that, you will get this every Rotarian every year banner. And that's what I mentioned earlier with the donation on behalf of each member's name after an event, you will get this recognition. I have never seen 100% Paul Harris Society Club, but that obviously exists. And there are clubs that want all their members to be Paul Harris Fellows as soon as possible. And they make that very clear before a member joins. Here, this is just quickly every Rotarian every year. I'm not going to get into that too much, but just know that when every Rotarian gives a little bit every year, it makes doing good in the world possible through all the great projects that we do around the world. And just know 123 million were given to the annual fund in 2019-2020. And of this money, 1,350 global grants were awarded. And about 1/3 of Rotarians are supporting the annual fund. And I'm sure we can do better, even if it's just a little bit. I mentioned that earlier, the $100 per capita for every Rotarian every year. And I mentioned earlier the foundation recognition points, and that's different than just the flat out numbers. So you get recognition points as a club or as an individual when you donate through the annual fund, the Polio Plus fund, or an approved global grant. As an individual, if you donate your money flat out, you get 1 recognition point per dollar you spend. So if I'm spending my own $1,000 to be a Paul Harris Fellow, I then have 1,000 points that I can give to name someone else a Paul Harris Fellow. This can be a family member, it can be another Rotarian, anybody. Or you can donate those points to your club if your club runs short on recognition points to then contribute to that. You have to at least have 100 recognition points that then can be transferred to anybody, like in anybody's name. And for this, you use a so-called Paul Harris Fellow Recognition Transfer Request form, which is available on My Rotary. Here's some resources as we're getting closer to the end. There's brochures, Paul Harris Society, Rotary Given Works, the Rotary Legacy Commitment Notification, then an Klumph Society brochure, and some fact sheets. All these brochures are available for download on the RI website. And then some other resources, the RI website on about the Rotary Foundation, how to donate. Then there's a Rotary Foundation reference guide. And of course, there's the foundation committee. And I know Aldo is a member of the committee, and you can ask him. And if one of us regular committee members does not know the answer, we can always ask Leslie Barmania or Norm Binden for their advice. And if you so decide to become a member of the Bequest Society or Legacy Society, you can contact Carolyn Ferguson. She's from a neighboring district, and she's the Major Gifts Officer for Canada. And this is just a little bit to show you that gifts of any size can have a big impact. So it doesn't matter how much you give now or leave behind in the future. Every little bit helps. For polio vaccines, for other medical equipment, or anything that may help do good in the world.